Like, yes, there is some common issues that when you're 30 or 40 or 50, you have to kind of face, but you don't have to face it alone. And understanding that getting the professional help of, your doctor, recognizing like, hey, I got these issues, I got concerns, and I just want to make sure everything's okay is the most important thing. All right, y'all. So I can tell you at the age of 42, which I am, right? 42 years old. I'm at that age now where a lot of my peers have passed the invincible stage, right? And what Dr. Pierre may be saying, Dr. Pierre, what's the invincible stage, right? Typically, as an internist, I take care of patients once they turn 18 until they die, right? Like I take care of that whole gamut. But what I tend to find, especially when I'm talking about healthcare related things, my 18 to 30-year-olds, like that crowd, oh man, it's tough sometimes, right? And the reason why it's tough, because for the majority of them, they don't really have a medical issue that arises, right? Their body is, they're jumping out the gym, they're fit, like there's no aches, and like typically speaking, right? Typically, so that's the age where a lot of my conversation, whether I'm talking about hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, it don't really hit the way it hits after they turn 30, especially once they turn 40. Right. So I love when I am talking to my 30-year-olds, my 40-year-olds and above, because now, right, I can have the conversation that like has a little meat to it. All of a sudden, when I say, hey man, you ever wake up and all of a sudden your back is hurting for no reason whatsoever, drop it in the comments if that's you, right? Where you just have some random ache and pain. And you have to try to think back, like, what did I do these past couple of days that like is making my body hurt for some reason, right? Like if you're in that age, let me know. Drop it in the comments, right? So today we're going to be talking about some of our silent threats and killers and things we need to, for my 30, my 40 or 50-year-olds, right? If you're younger, this may not be the episode for you, and that's okay. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you subscribe to the channel though. Share it with someone who is older. Say, hey, like I saw this episode. They were talking about old people. I think this fits you well. Go ahead, share it to them. So we're going to talk about some of the silent health threats that I typically see, that if we are proactive about it, when we are 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, it's not something that is like holding us down like a sledgehammer, right? Like an anchor, right? Like that's not what I want it to be, right? Because I take care of, like, especially because I work in nursing homes and long-term care facilities. So I see a lot of older patients, right? I see a lot of older patients. And I can see some older patients who are 50, 60 years old, and they are decrepit. They are just beat down by life and all the medical issues and choices that they made. And then I see my 60, 70-year-old are running around the building, right? Energy for days. You can't tell them nothing, right? So, and I always ask my energetic ones, like, hey, what did y'all do when y'all were younger? And they just always say, like, hey, we just paid attention to more detail earlier on, right? So we can kind of enjoy like the second, third half of our third, our this later third of our life, right? Like, is that first third where you're just like, what, you're young, you're a kid, right? So it don't matter, right? That middle third where you're like low key invincible, can't tell you nothing. And then that last third of life is where you're like, oh my God, everything's beating me up, right? We don't want that, right? So we're going to talk about some of these silent threats and killers that I think is very important for us, because like I said, when I turned 40, I think 40 was a big one for me, because again, as a physician, I always say I'm a physician, yes, but I'm also a patient, right? Like I'm diligent. I go see my doctor every single year. I get every checkup, every test needs to be done. Yes, doc, go ahead and do it. There's no shame in my game as far as getting myself ready, because I want to be 50, 60 years old, retired out of medicine, and be able to enjoy life and not feel like I'm like, oh my God, my back hurts, my foot hurts, my neck hurts. Like I didn't want to be that, right? So I'm very diligent in making sure I don't miss these things. I want to make sure you don't miss these things as well. All right, so when we talk about the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, and right, those couple of decades, right, where being aware of your body and the medical needs of your body is so important, right? Because we understand, right, there is such a balancing act. You're trying to balance a career. A lot of you are trying to balance school, especially like my advanced degree folks. They're still in school forever, and this is a big one. A lot of times you now become a caretaker of not only kids, but you also got to take care of older adults, right? So you're in this middle where you're taking care of kids and you're taking care of the needs of like your parents and your aunts and uncles and grandpas. So it becomes this balancing act that sometimes you get forgotten. Sometimes you forget that, hey, I got to focus on myself. I got to turn the camera on and look at myself and say, hey, like, did you get the checkup done? Right? Did you go see that doctor? Did you get the lab work? Did you get your vitamins? Like, sometimes you have to turn the camera on yourself. Remember, oxygen mask on yourself first, then you take care of others, right? But a lot of times we aren't even looking for our oxygen mask. We are taking care of everything else but ourselves until it's a problem, until you see me in a hospital, and then you know what, the calamity begins, right? So these are some things that typically happen, right? And these are very common symptoms. Whether it's fatigue, right? Fatigue's a big one, right? We always attribute it to work or school or kids, but think about fatigue. That's a big one. Weight gain, because again, as we get older, metabolism slows down. Some headaches, some stress, back aches, joint aches. These are just some of the things that just kind of pop up when we're thinking about it, right? And the reason why is like they become a possible precursor. All of a sudden, right, you start having to think, man, like, when's the last time I checked my blood pressure, right? Like, is diabetes something that runs in my family? What about cholesterol, right? Like, is my thyroid okay, right? Like cancer, right? Cancer is a big one. We don't like talk about cancer, but cancer screening is a big one, especially as we get near this age, and making sure that cancer is not a problem that we want to deal with, right? We want to deal with it head on early, right? And then have more treatment options early than not. So very understanding when we think about that aspect. So understanding that when you are just kind of going through life and you're just trying to recognize like some of the journey of being an adult, right? Being an adult means you got to take care of yourself, right? Like numero uno, you got to take care of yourself. And these are big issues, right? Like I think blood pressure. I always talk about high blood pressure being a silent killer, but I recognize that not only is it a silent killer, but there is a lot of sprinkles that happen, right? Family history. There's a lot of things that like, oh yeah, when's the last time I went to a doctor, right? Did I got my blood pressure checked, right? A lot of things that typically occur that we ignore that I don't want y'all ignoring. My diabetes, right? That's a big one, right? Especially because it ties in to our nutrition, right? Because again, what we used to be able to eat when we're younger, we literally can't eat when we're older, right? So very important to understand that. Sleep apnea is big. Y'all know I talk about sleep apnea a lot on this channel. Sleep apnea, I have a CPAP machine because again, it's like night and day. Once you recognize, hey, I have sleep apnea, and then you start treating yourself for sleep apnea. So sleep apnea is a big one. High cholesterol. Oh, yeah, definitely for sure. Because cholesterol is one of those things where you don't feel that you have high cholesterol. But the damaging effects of you not taking care of your high cholesterol, aka like a stroke, aka like a heart attack, could be life threatening or life changing, right? Because again, medicine is good these days, where we keep you alive after a stroke and a heart attack. You may not like the way you're living after that fact, but we can keep you alive after doing so. So these are some big things where finding out common myths that I have to break, right? And I usually have to break it to my 18 and 30-year-olds. I can't tell them nothing. I'm healthy. I don't need checkups. That's a lie. You get a checkup at least once a year. It doesn't run in my family, so I don't have to worry about it. That's when we're talking about diabetes and hypertension. Again, you could be the first one. You could be the person that doesn't run your family, and for all I know, your family didn't get checked routinely. So how I know it doesn't run in your family, like because a lot of y'all don't really know about it. And then supplements or a diet can fix it, right? Yes, it can be beneficial, but it may not necessarily erase all the problems that you may have to deal with, right? So understand that, like, yes, there is some common issues that when you're 30 or 40 or 50, you have to kind of face, but you don't have to face it alone. And understanding that getting the professional help of, your doctor, recognizing like, hey, I got these issues, I got concerns, and I just want to make sure everything's okay is the most important thing. So as we go into 2026, we're thinking about resolutions and all this other stuff here, or I like to call them transformations. As we're thinking about these things, recognizing that, hey, I need to make sure that like in my 30s, I'm good. In my 40s, I'm good, but beyond, I'm even better. Right. And you do that by recognizing that, hey, there may be some telltale signs. My body aches. I'm tired. I'm not sleeping well. I'm a little stressed. Like there may be some telltale signs that we may be ignoring. And I just want this episode to be kind of like that wake up call. Don't ignore it, right? Because you're going to be 40, right? Especially my 30-year-olds, you're going to be 40. My 40-year-olds, you're going to be 50. My 50-year-olds, you're going to be 60 and above, right? Like, how do you want to live when you get there? So again, I'm yours truly, Dr. Barry Pierre. Stay healthy, stay fit, take care of yourself, recognize all the signs and symptoms that may be in front of you that you may be ignoring.